Hello, and welcome to the Notary Business Talk, the podcast dedicated to sharing ideas, strategies, and techniques to help grow your business and improve your life. And now, with more than 2 decades of notary business experience, your host, Abraham Zamora, the notary entrepreneur.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Notary Business Talk. My name is Abraham Zamora, and I am the notary entrepreneur. In this episode, we're going to continue our conversation with Ronnie Mickle. This is technically part 3 of this little mini series that we're putting on for you guys to help you sort of re-engage, recalibrate, rethink your notary business now that things have changed in this market. So if you haven't heard the previous 2 episodes, let me just quickly recap what we've already discussed and then what we're going to be discussing today and how important it is to go back and make sure you implement the things that we're discussing in the appropriate order. So if you go back to episode 23, we discussed basically the foundation of a notary signing agent's business, which is the way you're listed, your resume, the sites that you're listed on, how to make sure you update your profiles, what kind of databases to be put on there, the tried and true databases. That whole episode discusses that initial topic. And so the first episode that in this little mini series is to do the things that will help you get noticed by the people who are going to give you work. The next episode, episode 24, we discussed now that people have started to notice you, how to manage and deal with the agencies, with the people that are now hiring you, offering you work. Who do you reach out to? What do you do in your spare time? How do you build on and grow on the fundamental essentials of a notary business? And now in this episode, we're going to talk about how to be a responsible business owner. And part of being a responsible business owner is managing your costs. You could be making $10,000, but if your expenses are $11,000, you're broker than the guy that's making $1,000, but is only spending $500 because he's keeping a lot more of his money. So it's all relative. It's all what we call cash flow at the end of the month. How much are you keeping at the end of every month? That is what, at the heart of it, I think, determines notary, not just a notary business success, but just a business in general. So, Ronnie Mickle, welcome back to the show, my friend. How are you today?
I'm doing good. I appreciate you having me here for a third time on this segment. And, I really want to go right into it because I'm kind of on the edge of my seat, literally. Like, you guys can't see it, but I'm on the edge. I can't wait to talk about this topic because it's something near and dear to my heart, and it's cutting costs as a business owner.
Yeah.
And I really want to go right into it. We did the 5 free tips on how to increase your notary business. So you should increase business and lower costs, right? The first thing that I want to talk about today, and thank you for having me here to talk about these things, is starting with your home office or your home life, so to speak, because it kind of bleeds lines as a notary signing agent. I base this off something that I wanted to do a long time ago. If you don't know, I've written and published 3 books about my life in general, but one book that I really wanted to do was How to Survive Unemployment. And California is a very high unemployment state, or people know how to navigate unemployment in California when it happens to them. Before I became a notary signing agent, I had certain tactics that I would do. When the market downturns as a notary, you really have to kind of reassess your life, your lifestyle. And there's a couple of things that notaries don't know about. First of all, your cable and internet provider, your cell phone, your car insurance, all of them are renegotiable after a year. And if they're not renegotiable, you can switch services. So you really want to start there. And this is to get your mind churning as a notary signing agent. It's not rocket science, but the things that you do every day that might be costing you money are renegotiable. So your cable internet provider, you can always call them and say, I've been with you for a year, over a year. You're charging me this amount. How much can you save me? Right now in the market downturn, you can save so much money just on renegotiating your contracts with cable internet, cell phone, and car insurance. The one thing that I want to tell you is that as a notary signing agent, you're going to need that data plan. So don't switch to limited data. You need unlimited data because GPS really pulls from those things. But another thing that you can save money on, we're talking about gas prices also being a problem for notary signing agents. One thing that you may want to really go in tune with is going paperless. A lot of companies, if you have 3 companies that give you $10 for going paperless off your bill, that's $30 you weren't spending before. You need to really call and ask these companies, what can you do for me? And don't be afraid to say that you work in the real estate sector, by the way. A lot of realtors get discounts. And if you're working in the real estate sector as a loan signing agent, you can get discounts on your bills. All you really need to show is you're part of the NNA or those types of things, and you can get discounts on your bills just because you're working in the real estate sector.
Interesting. See, I didn't know that. Another thing I noticed on there is, like, for example, cell phone. If you have an LLC, you know, or what you were just mentioning, real estate sector, you'll get a discount for that kind of stuff. It's just stuff that just I don't think most people know. And I know we're touching bases on this, but for those of you who actually want to read the blog, and I would suggest you actually read the blog and go in details, you can find the link below on the show notes and actually go through it, because this is just a quick little overview. But yeah, so renegotiating cell phone bills, you know, internet bills, things that people don't really think about. But I mean, every little bit here or there, eventually will add up, won't it, Ronnie?
Absolutely. And then one thing I want to point out is sometimes your companies will be like, there's no discount available. So ask for escalations. Tell them, I'm thinking about canceling my service. And then they will get somebody on the phone that will renegotiate your contracts to bring you down and tell them, I have a budget of XYZ.
Yeah.
This is my budget. Don't get ridiculous. Don't be like, I have a budget of $10. But, you know, if you're paying $80, say I have a budget of $60. And see what happens.
Right.
Get it escalated. You may have to spend a day on these types of things, but you will be able to renegotiate cost.
Right. Right. And this is coming from a place where Ronnie and I have been in this business collectively for over 35 years. We've been through the ups, we've been through the downs, and we know when the going gets good, it's good. But then you want to save during those times, because when it starts to slow down, then we got to start thinking smart. And this is kind of what we're talking about now, because we have entered that phase where we're going to have a little trough in the market. So that's tip number 1. Start with your home and home office, which is what you were just talking about. Tip 2 now, and again, one of the main things is don't get cheap on the data plan. You need to have that. That's essential for your business. Just make sure you're smart about that. But tip number 2 here is start tracking your tax write-offs. I mean, that can be, it sounds like it might be complicated. What do you say about that, Ronnie?
Actually, it's not complicated. There's a lot of services out there like Notary Gadget or Notary Assist that help you track your expenses. QuickBooks is for more advanced user, for sure, in our industry. And the one thing that I want to say, and it's probably the first sentence of the bullet on this blog article, is most notary business owners are the worst at tracking their tax write-offs. And I want you to know that this is okay, because I was too, self-included. Not talking down to anyone, but once you start realizing what you can write off, for instance, a lot of notaries don't realize that you can write off your notary stamps.
Oh,
those are not those are not taxable income. You're performing a service for the state. It's the fee that they allotted to you. If you're doing a loan signing, let's just say you do a loan signing and it's $125 or $175, and each notarization in that package is $10. You can write off those. Now, I'm not a tax accountant or professional, but we did have Notary Gadget come in, and it's on Notary Stars, and I'll provide you that video as well, where they talk about these things. But you can also write off either your gas mileage or the cost of your vehicle. So if you just brought a vehicle, you may want to just write that off, or you may want to write off the cost of your mileage. If you have a dedicated room in your house that you're using for your notary business, that can be written off by square footage. There's so many things that you can write off, and the IRS actually expects you as a business to have losses.
Right.
So if you're only making gains, you're not really doing yourself as a service. Another thing I want to plug here is that, in Notary Stars, we charge $25 a month for all-in training. That includes the loan signing agent training, RON training. If you go to marketing level, that's $49.98. Excuse me, not $49.95, but it's 25 plus the $24.95 a month. It's $49.95 a month. If you go all in for training courses, or you have a training course that you took during the fiscal year, you can actually write that off on your taxes because you took training. Anything from the NNA, if you had to buy a new notary stamp, if you had to go to the NNA and get a background check, all of that is tax deductible, which means you pay less at the end of the year, and you might even get a refund. A lot of times, if it's not a great year, you'll get a refund. So notaries need to start tracking their expenses immediately, for sure. At the time of the release, today is 7/25/2022 when we're filming this. I don't know when it'll be released, but you should be tracking your notary expenses to get the highest amount back on your taxes. The IRS does not expect you, and this is a good thing. If the IRS doesn't expect you to make a profit every year, neither should your friends or family. So if you're brand new in the business and you're just learning to navigate, make sure you're getting every tax deduction that you possibly can. And we have them listed in the article, but for the sake of time, I called out as much as I could.
And there's always stuff that I'm learning. I'll tell you something. I just recently learned that you can, if you travel to some kind of like training program or some kind of business related, even if it's not notary, but just like a business seminar, I mean, you can, if you do it right, you can even write off most, if not all, of the expenses.
If you have dedicated clothes that you wear to work that you're getting dry cleaning on, you can get tax deductions for that. There's so many things available. The best thing to do is get hooked up with a tax accountant. Sometimes when you see their fees, you'll think, oh, well, that's expensive. But then when you see what they save you, it's no question.
Right. And I think Notary Gadget, if you go Notary Gadget, if you want to get more information about Notary Gadget, you can always go to notarygadget.com/notary business talk. And they even have little videos and kind of some suggestions and ideas of what you can write off, particularly as a notary. So definitely an area to explore. And I think the blog does simplify it, but that in itself is a huge topic and a huge source of saving money and cutting costs down. And in some cases, even getting money back, like you talked about with the returns. Let's go to tip number 3 here. It says you can cut expenses on supplies without compromising quality. How the heck do we do that, Ronnie?
Okay, so I'm going to start this, which didn't make it into the blog. I have a team behind me. For instance, when I do a seller file, I use a paper clip versus a binder clip. You start thinking about logistics and things that can actually, function. But let's take it up to a bigger level, okay? Keep in mind, I'm going to reiterate this throughout this episode, this is to get your mind churning. You don't want to compromise your quality, but you still want functionality and those sorts of things. So loyalty programs are a big thing when it comes to Office Depot, Staples, Office Max, purchasing, all of those things. A lot of notaries go in, they buy at the full price. It's just like going to Safeway or Kroger or any of the popular food chains, and you don't put in that number, you're going to pay more money.
Yeah.
Loyalty programs are a big deal, and a lot of the office supply stores will offer you money if it's a brand name cartridge, that if you bring it back to have it refilled and buy another one. Miss Beth at Notary Star saved in 2021 alone, before the downturn of the market, $300 in costs. Now, I personally take a different method to everything. I use a company called V4 Inc., which is linked in the blog. I don't get anything, not a penny for saying this, but I've been using it for a decade.
Hmm.
I was with them before they became an Amazon store. Now they're an Amazon store. V4 Inc. And I highly recommend you go to Abraham's blog, link blogs down below to find this. I don't get a penny for this, okay? V4 Inc. is now on Amazon. They're with almost every printer company in the country. If you're not with a printer that is serviced by V4 Inc., I would consider changing. You can get, I think it's 3 toner cartridges for less than the price of 1. Now, here's the drawback. You can possibly sometimes get a bum cartridge, which means you need to know how to clean your cartridge or your printer. And you can also get your drums 2 for 1 or less than the cost of 2 for 1. I've been using it for a decade. You do need to read our blogs on smudge test and all of those things. And if you have little speckles that come out, how to clean your printer, because you're using refurbished cartridges.
Right.
But I spend so much less, and my cost of printing is down to like pennies.
Yep.
Because of this, and it's the number one complaint here in the industry. The other thing that I'll talk about is the teamwork of going together and buying a pallet of paper, or buying a whole stock of toner, and you all have the same kind of printers and all of those things. Teamwork, we did a whole blog on that that'll be part of the series that we plug. It's we did it last week when we filmed it, and this is exactly how I started my business. And I think sometimes notaries overlook the fact of turning competitors into colleagues, where you can save costs, protect the business. We talked about that in the last episode,
right?
So I'll make this one short. There's so many ways, and I want to, again, these are not the be all end all. This is just ways to kind of get your brain churning on how to save money.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, that's huge. And that was episode 24 for those of you who want to go back and check that out. And then I have a similar website that I use. It's called ldproducts.com, which I think it's the same idea. It's refurbished cartridges. And yes, you're talking literally hundreds of dollars a year, if not maybe thousands, depending on how many loan signings you do every month. So that in itself is huge. Now, let's see. Number 4, it says there are a lot of ways you can save money on gas and vehicle expenses. Explain that one, Ronnie. How can people do that?
Oh, there's a million ways to save on expenses. The first thing that I want to say, which is also not in the article, of course, I have to work with a team. So, I have to go with the majority vote. One of the ways that I save money is I'm a couponer. Those coupons that we all throw in the trash when they first come in. A lot of times you see things for free oil change if you buy this, or those types of things. I actually use those. Again, we talked about before my level of earnings and that sort of thing, but I still use coupons to make things work, because I don't want to pay all of my money to something that I don't need to do.
Right.
Walmart, they have a great setup across the country. Costco, Gas Buddy, Upside, Get Upside. They'll all be linked in the blog article. They all have, I think Walmart has 12,000 gas stations across the country, which is not a lot for the whole country. But where you fill up, big deal right now. A lot of people don't understand that, when you go into Kroger or Safeway, or Abraham, what's your grocery store in California?
Out here that has gas, you mean?
Mm-hmm. No, grocery store. Just what's your grocery store?
Yeah, we have Vons, Albertsons, we have Costco's out here, that kind of thing.
Yeah. So a lot of those grocery stores, when you put in your phone number to save on your groceries, you're also earning points at the gas pump. Right. And a lot of times you don't realize that. So you need to take a look at your receipt and see if you're earning points. There was one day that I actually went to the gas station in Phoenix, and this was only 3-4 years ago. I went to the gas pump, and the guy asked me, he goes, "Do you have a prize card?" And I was like, "Yeah, but I'm at, I think it was Mobile Oil or something." And he goes, "Put in your number." So I just happened to have it, and I put in the number. I barely paid anything at the pump, because I had been building up all those points for so long. And right now we're in an economy where every cent and dollar counts and adds up. You know, had I not used it all at once, it might not have seemed such a big deal. But if you add it up over a year, with the gas prices at where they are now and what we're trying to do as an industry, these things really matter. Combination using Gas Buddy or Get Upside on top of your grocery store points, you're looking at saving quite a lot of money for those things. And then we put this little thing in. I just want to read it because it's actually in italics. Consumer reports say to fill up early in the week as gas prices tend to be higher Thursday through Sunday. They cost a lot more for driving. So there's a whole more information on there. But I'll tell you, this is no different than if you want to travel. When you travel, everybody knows you do a Wednesday layover because most people travel Monday through Tuesday for business, and then they leave on Tuesday. There's a finite time where you buy certain things. And also, if you're a grocery shopper mom, you also know that meats are discounted on this day and these things. Gas prices are also discounted on certain days. So you need to learn in your local market. And this may be different for Phoenix than it is for California. But in your local market, gas prices are going to fluctuate. But consumer reports say that early in the week is the best time to buy your gas.
That right there was worth listening to this episode, I think. That's good stuff. Yeah, and I was thinking of other things that I kind of do as notaries, and we travel a lot. We intend to eat out a lot, and a lot of these restaurants have the little points, right, with the apps that you can collect points. Subway, Chipotle, and before you know it, you're rounding up free meals. So I don't know if you talked.
By the way, here's a marketing tip. You mentioned Subway, so one thing that I used to do with my local Subway, which is totally unplanned for this episode.
Okay.
One thing that I used to do with my local Subway is I would tip the woman really well, and she would let me take the jar where you drop the business cards. And I would take all of their email addresses and then email them about my business, and then drop my business card in and hope I won the free sandwich. So I don't do that anymore, but I actually had a deal with my local Subway. I would come in after hours, buy a sandwich, and I would say how much would it cost for me to take, and I would take it home and scan it as fast as the notary could and get every business card in that jar, just lay them all on the scanner as fast as I could, and then get it back to her so she wouldn't get in trouble for letting me take it. That's a true story, and it worked. So just needed to plug that as well. That is one marketing tip that you may or may not want to do, but I definitely did it, and it worked for me.
Yeah, this is why, by the way, why I love business. I mean, yes, you can make money, but you can make money doing all sorts of things. I think the cool thing about being in business, being an entrepreneur, is just the creativity required to be able to survive. And if you are the creative type, if you are the type that likes to come up with concepts and ideas and is into psychology, which is all that marketing and business is, because we're dealing with people. I mean, ultimately, at the end of the day, we're trying to get people to say yes to us. There's a science, there's a psychology behind that. And I think that is the most interesting, thrilling part about what we do. And so that's a great example of just one more creative way of getting your name out there and getting business. And again, I talked about your success and how proud I am that you've achieved what you have. And I think it's these little things collectively that have kind of gotten you to where you're at. So good stuff. That's why I'm so glad you're here. And people, I hope you guys are listening, taking notes. This is really good stuff. And then number 5, luxuries don't have to go away. I'll let you speak on that, because we don't want to sacrifice. We don't want to have to live below our means if we don't have to. So what are you referring to here in this point?
Well, at the very beginning of the article, I actually talk about how it can feel a little shameful as a business owner, whether you're new or in business for a long time. It seems to be people that have been in for like a year and a half, 2 years, they are understanding a little bit more about it than those that have been are brand new or are going into business for the 13th year. It's not shameful to adjust to the economy. Okay, it's really not shameful, and you should not be ashamed. You should be unapologetic about it. When you go to buy a burger tomorrow or a sandwich, it's going to be higher price than it was 7 months ago.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean that you might need to adjust your business, but that doesn't mean that all your luxuries need to go away. We're not telling you to turn off the lights every time you leave the room. We're telling you that there's ways in your personal life and your professional life that you can save money. So first thing, I use Groupon like no other. I have no shame in saying, I mean, I have a lot of light on and I'll turn it down so that you can actually see the way that I look for those of you watching the YouTube. But I get Botox. I have really harsh lines here, and I get Botox to look good when I go into clients. You know, I'm 42 years old and I have to look good, but I get Botox at a fraction of the cost through Groupon. I get haircuts. I try new salon things. I love massage because you guys that have ever followed me know that I got run over by a car, and this is how all this started for me, becoming a signing agency and training, because I literally broke 3 vertebrae in my back. Part of my regimen for getting better and staying healthy 10 years later is I get massages once a week. And sometimes I can't always afford, even at my level, to pay those therapists that I love every single week. So I use Groupon. I get introduced to new therapists. I have more accessibility to things. Hair, nails, and I know there's a lot of women in this industry. Hair, nails, all of those things that you need to look presentable for your job can be purchased through Groupon. And sometimes you can even take a friend for 50% off. So that's a really great accessible commodity for you. The next thing that I want to talk about is trying to buy gift cards. This is something that Miss Beth's brother from Notary Stars brought in, and you can buy gift cards, 10 for 20. And there's a lot of popular sites. We have them listed on the blog: raise.com, cardash.com, giftcardgranny.com, giftcards.com. Now, you need to be careful when buying these cards, and we have a blurb about all of that. But her brother has been able to cut gas costs by buying gift cards and then using them immediately, because that's one of the tips, is use it immediately to make sure that you get the value of the card. Because usually sometimes it's being sold and it's going to leave within a certain amount of days and the card user didn't want to use it. You can use these. There's also other sites where you can buy for clothes if you need new clothes for your notary business. The point of the matter is to get your brain churning, and I said that many times through this, is that there's more than one way to skin a cat, right?
Right.
You have to think as a business owner, and when gas prices go up and interest rates go up, you have to learn how to cut costs. And that's in addition to raising your business, which we talked about last time, and marking yourself safe, you also may need to cut your cost. And you need to do all 3 of these things, actually. That's why we did them in 3 segments, is in order to kind of raise awareness. These are things that I've done. I know you've done them, Abraham.
Sure.
Where you kind of take a look at yourself and your life and your business and say, it's time to reassess. So case in point, and then I'll leave it at this, Unlimited Ink. We are doing so well right now post-pandemic. We have more than enough signings going around. We're making just under the same profit that we did 6 months ago, but it is a little slower. And we cut hours and we did things, and we have very loyal employees, but we decided to cut hours in a way that it wouldn't affect one individual. And then we decided to take those individuals and divide them up into the different marketing aspects for the company. We did it in a very fair way. A lot of companies don't think that way, and that's okay. But you as a business owner, a single notary signing agent, need to be able to dissect your life and your business, because your life is tied to your business and your business is tied to your life. And I think that's sometimes something that people don't get taught, as a notary signing agent, that you may need to cut things sometimes. You may need to use a paper clip versus a binder clip if it's accessible. That you may need to use a coupon for your mobile, I say mobile because that's the big oil change place, but for your oil change, you may need to do all kinds of things to save money in your personal life. And right now, the 2 biggest complaints we have are interest rates are low and files are down, and gas prices are up and I can't go as far. Right. So when gas prices are up, if that's the biggest takeaway you have, there's so many ways you can compensate that from just taking action on these items alone.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I remember back in '08 when the market crashed. I'm not sure how many of you listening to this show were in this during that time, but I mean, I owned a bunch of homes and I was living the life, and I thought the market would never crash. This was my first crash ever. And I ended up losing everything. And if you listen to episode 1, I go into my actual story. But I mean, I had foreclosed on like 3 homes. I had to repossess my cars. I mean, I literally went bankrupt, and that was extremely painful. And so one of the lessons I've learned, and for those of you who are going to really pursue this as a long-term career, we will have these dips in the market in the future. And just recognize and realize that, knowing that that's going to happen when the going gets good, you save your money, you have your emergency fund, and then when we have times like these, you do the things that Ronnie's telling us to do. You cut costs, you work on marketing yourself a little better. But if you have that foundation to fall back on, then things will be a lot smoother. And you may not have it now because, you see, this is your first go around at this. Fine, do what we're telling you right now. You should be just fine. You can weather, if you need to do Uber, like we talked in the last episode, to get you by, to get you through this period, which will recover. It always has, right, Ronnie? I mean, we've been through it many times.
Absolutely. And I $1 million company, I still have a lip sticker on my car. I can go out and work tomorrow if I wanted to. And I keep those accounts serious. So I have the same sentiment. You can weather the storm. That's the message that I really want to let people know, is that don't give up.
No.
This is not the end. It's just a market adjustment at the moment.
Yeah.
There's no reason for anybody to give up. There's going to be people who give up, no matter what we say. But there will be people who stay through and are glad that they heard this, or glad that they stayed through even though they didn't hear this. Everyone has the opportunity to make it.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I'll quickly, just so people who maybe aren't familiar with you or haven't listened to the last few episodes, Ronnie is the founder and owner of Unlimited Ink Notary, which is a nationwide signing service company. He also started NotaryStars.com, which is a online, ongoing training for notaries for their business and personal lives. I'm a member. I'm actively engaged in expanding my knowledge and learning. And I think I want to end this episode by saying that, yes, we've heard that word inflation, and things are going up, gas prices are going up and all this. And I'll tell you one thing, if you want to be anywhere in this economy when we're having inflation, it's having your own business. It's being in control of the amount of fees, the amount that you can charge, because with inflation, wages will eventually go up and catch up, but they won't catch up as quickly as if you had a business where you can adjust your fees for inflationary circumstances. And I'll give you an example. I mean, I charge $500 for each wedding ceremony that I perform. A year ago, I wasn't getting as many as I am now, but I think it's because people are starting to accept the fact that things are just going up in price. And so if you want to protect yourself against rising costs, being an entrepreneur, being in control of what you can charge for things is the best way to sort of protect yourself and keep up with rising costs, because you can be the one that also increases your costs as need be. I mean, if you need to stay in business, you have to do what you have to do. So any last words on that, Ronnie?
Absolutely. One thing that I will tell you, at Notary Stars, we do talk about starting out and earning your keep. But when it comes to raising your cost, I see a lot of notary complaints, and I actually wrote a blog about this before all of this, where notaries, they talk about, well, signing agency costs are going down, and I own a signing agency. We adjust our fees according to the market, but every single person out there has a right to direct business. And I have lots of notaries that service our clients direct, and then we service their nationwide signings. So you still have a lot of room for direct business, and you can adjust your fees, and you can charge what we may be charging as a signing agency, which sometimes there's this inflated idea that we get a lot. It's not true. But you can get the full fee of what is available in your market, which will bring things up for you. So, I just want to let everybody know there's tons of opportunity out there, and don't hold it against signing agencies or title agencies or anything. You can develop direct relationships and bring up your costs as well. I just wanted to throw those 2 cents on that and comment there.
Absolutely. And Ronnie, you know what? I want to definitely personally thank you for 3 episodes, a series on how to just supercharge and reimagine your business and the potential your business has. And Ronnie has spent, I mean, goodness gracious, I think almost 3 hours with us over the last 3 episodes, including this one. So I want to personally thank you, Ronnie, for taking the time. I think people are going to find this extremely valuable. And I think, again, part of why I think you're so successful, and part of why I think we're friends is because, you have this benevolent view of humanity, of people. And I think you are very empathetic to other people. You've been there before. I really appreciate your willingness to help out.
I'll tell you this, Abraham. The only difference between me and any other notary out in the industry is literally just a few years.
Yeah.
I just try to shorten that curve for them, but there's no difference between me or you to any other notary in the industry. I love that there are people that are tuning in and listening to both of us, but the only difference between us is, a little bit of experience. And once they get that, we're going to have more people on calls like these, and I can't wait for that day.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And I encourage you guys to check Ronnie out, check out Notary Stars. I did a quick little video review of his website. I am an affiliate. So if you guys want to check that out, you can go to notaryentrepreneur.com/Notary Stars. Check out my little quick review. There is a little button at the bottom that will redirect you through my affiliate link. It doesn't cost you any extra to use that link, but it definitely helps me out because it lets Ronnie know that I'm recommending people to him. But I would do it even if I wasn't getting compensated. But it helps the show, guys. So if you find value in this show, you want to trade value for value, definitely do that. We are starting to record these podcasts. So if you want to check out the videos, you can go to my YouTube channel, Notary Entrepreneur. I think Ronnie's going to post this on his channel as well, Notary Stars YouTube channel. Check us out on our social media platforms. And until next time, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We loved having you here. And until the next time we chat, stay productive, be well, and take care, guys. Until next time. Bye now.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Notary Business Talk. To learn more about becoming a notary entrepreneur or to find out how Abraham can help you achieve your business goals, visit notarybusinesstalk.com.